Oh my god, it's his Inside Out review. What's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? I'm too scared to watch.
Ugh, relax. He's obviously going to give it a good review.
I don't know. He seems kind of like a jerk. I don't think he's gonna give us a good review.
Oh, relax, everybody. Of course he's going to give us a good review. We're just too lovable.
I don't know. We're just not that fun. He's probably gonna just give us a bad review.
Come on, guys. Let's just let him review the movie.
So, hey guys, that was my impression of all the emotions that you'll see in a little girl's head named Riley, and in the new Pixar film called Inside Out. And in this film, you guys, I won't want to give away too much. This is basically going to be my non-spoiler synopsis as well as my non-spoiler thoughts of the movie. This girl is basically moving out from Minnesota with her family, and they go to San Francisco probably for a job for probably one of her parents. I don't think they got into details of what exactly they were moving from. But anyway, they moved to San Francisco, and throughout the course of the movie, most of the perspective of the film is from the little girl's head, as there's all these little emotions functioning this little boardroom that's supposed to basically factor in how she has emotions, towards certain things throughout the course of the movie. And so they kind of factor in, what she does, what she's thinking, and us as the viewer basically gets to see that go down while the actual story of Riley goes down, of how exactly she handles this move and how she handles the social situation, how she moves on with her life based on this move that she had with her parents. So overall, guys, I really, really liked Inside Out. I think Pixar was due for a really original movie, and Inside Out was definitely that film. I think we definitely got something here that is very intelligent, fun for both the kids and adults, original, it's creative, and it's definitely Pixar getting back to the roots that they should be, and should be, with their other movies later on as well. So overall, for my positives and negatives of Inside Out, like I just said, it's a very original story. I like how Pixar didn't do like a sequel or a prequel or a spin-off to anything. This is its own original story, and it definitely benefited from that. I really like when Pixar can come up with their own original stories that feel like they've never been done before, and as a result, it's really refreshing, and it just I couldn't thank them more for taking on a really intelligent story like this. It really was really impressive. Inside Out is consistently inventive. Every scene feels new and fresh. I couldn't wait. This is one of those movies where I actually couldn't wait for the next scene to happen just because I knew I was going to get something new again, something big and fresh again. Every scene feels new and fresh. They consistently invented things throughout the course of the movie that just make you more and more hyped and more excited for what's going to happen next in the story. Amy Poehler, who is the lead voice of Joy in the movie, she's kind of the lead emotion as well. They definitely focus on this character a lot, since she is one of the first emotions that came into Riley's head when she was first born. You'll see this right away in the movie. And her voice role in this and the character she got to play in this movie, this character of Joy overall, definitely kind of looks like Tinkerbell a little bit from Peter Pan if you look at her closely. But you almost forget that you're listening to Amy Poehler. You really feel like you're just watching this character like you would in a live action film because it's such a believable character. You really get the presence that you're in a character that's three-dimensional, has feelings of her own, has her own motivations, she represents happiness, but she's not just happy all the time. She definitely feels sad. She definitely feels these other emotions that are in this boardroom with her, and she just so happens to be the happiness portion of the emotions. And I like how, obviously some of these other characters, it's fitting to the emotion that they are, but to me, it felt so three-dimensional for this character, and like I said, you really almost forget that it's Amy Poehler just because it's just such a dimensional, fully functioning character that really works on its own. And in a way, Joy kind of carries the movie herself, and the film really benefits from that because it works so well. This film has excellent character development and excellent character establishment. One thing that really worked about Inside Out is by the time the movie was over with, I completely understood why each and every character was in the movie. Every character is significant. No characters left out here. Every character, I felt like they got the development that they needed to make a movie like this work. And by the time the film's over with, fear, happiness, disgust, sadness, the character of Riley, Riley's parents, Riley's teacher at her school, all these characters feel like they're fully developed, fully functional. They definitely serve the purpose that they need for a story like this, and as a result, the character development in this is very satisfying. This is also a very fun and smart film for both kids and adults. Kids are really going to have a blast with this. It's just consistently inventive. It's very imaginative. Look for the character called Bing Bong specifically. He is a character voiced by Richard Kind, who played the mayor in the show Gotham, for those who watch that. A very fun character. He's definitely kind of in the spirit of Kusi from Dexter's Laboratory, for those who remember that show. It definitely reminded me of Kusi in a lot of ways. But like I said, and it's a very smart film too, because there's a lot of things about psychology in this, a lot of things about imaginary friends, abstract thought, which I thought was a really cool sequence when you get to that, by the way. Just a very fun and smart movie that kids and adults, I think, are absolutely going to love. Like I said, both kids and adults, I think, are equally going to love this. And the fact that it's a really intelligent film on top of all that really feels like an even bigger accomplishment on Pixar's part for the movie. The film stays in your mind, and it's long after the movie's done with. I remember with the friend who I saw the movie with, him and I were talking about, what would our emotions look like? Because, the film makes the point that all these emotions look different in everybody's head. So if Riley's, lead character of the movie, if her sadness is somebody else's happiness, that automatically gives the impression that everybody's different. Everybody is going to have a brain that works differently, and I like how the film makes that point. And it really works well, I think, because of that. This film also works on a very deeply emotional experience kind of a level, and I won't get into too much of that because some of that does go into spoiler territory, but it's a very emotional experience, and to be honest, there were a lot of times in this movie where I had tears about to come down my eyes. I really felt for these characters, and I really felt the tragedy they felt on the really tragic scenes and on the really sad scenes. And so for a movie about emotions, it's very emotional, and it works really well because of that. Now for the negatives of Inside Out, because I do have a little few nitpicks here. Nothing really severe, nothing I think that's really going to hurt the experience of the movie for anybody, but they are nitpicks, and they are things that if I could have somehow been a part of the production, I think these could have been things that they could have done better if they could have improved upon the movie in some way. One of the negatives was I felt the overall brain world, specifically when the film takes place where all the long-term memories are, and this really isn't a spoiler because in the trailer you see like this, it almost looks like a long series of bookshelves. So I guess when the film goes into that environment, it doesn't feel very big. And I guess that's one thing that felt kind of weird to me. It's the first movie where the adventure's big, it feels big, but when you look at the environments closely, it's not very big. And so I don't really understand how, Pixar could have just made this world as big as they want, and I don't think anybody would have really questioned that. I know obviously it's meant to take place in a girl's brain, but it feels very tight-spaced, and I don't really understand why they had to do that. Another negative I had is when they get to the dreamland portion of the brain in the movie, there's not really a lot of established rules with it. I kind of didn't understand the rules because one minute they would make a rule in that place, and the next second they say there are no rules, and it's just like I don't understand how that division of Riley's brain works, and as a result, it felt kind of like the scene was out of place because everything else was explained so beautifully and established so beautifully. By the time we get to that division of her brain, that part didn't feel as established, I thought. And overall, I do think Toy Story 1, the very first Toy Story movie, is still probably Pixar's best film just because it was so revolutionary for the time. Some of the CGI animation that actually still holds up to this day, I think that's one thing that even that film holds even better than some of the other later Pixar films in some ways too. Go into this movie expecting something, mind-blowingly great, but at the same time, though, I still think most people are going to walk away thinking Toy Story 1 is still the best Pixar film, and I think that's a pretty okay thing to say. Like, I think Toy Story 1 is just it's kind of an untouchable movie. You kind of know what I mean? It's just like, we can still all really enjoy Inside Out, but still, let's still place Toy Story 1 as their best movie. I think that's just the most appropriate way to approach it. But overall, I am going to give the Inside Out a 9 out of 10. I think it definitely is one of the best films we've gotten so far this year. We are 6 months into the year, by the way, so 9 out of 10. I really think this is a film that a lot of people are really going to enjoy. It's a lot of fun. It's really smart. Kids and adults are both going to love it equally, I think. Consistently inventive, and it's original. Not many films these days we can say are original, but Inside Out managed to find a way to become original. So 9 out of 10 for me. Definitely see this film. It's definitely one of the best of the year. It'll probably show up on my top 10 best of 2015 when I make that list. So please see Inside Out. It's probably one of Pixar's better films that they've done in quite a while now.